Hi, welcome to this walkthrough video about writing the introduction to your argumentative essay. All right, let's get started. And here we go. Okay, the introduction. Well, a funnel introduction generally is the academic standard. And it's so called because it's shaped like a funnel, wide at the top and narrow at the bottom. It begins with one or two very general sentences about the topic, so kind of a general introduction to the issue, the topic, the problem. Each subsequent sentence that comes after becomes increasingly focused on the topic until the last sentence, which states very specifically what the essay will be about, and that's your thesis. Writing a funnel introduction is like focusing a camera with a telephoto lens. You start with a wide picture and gradually narrow the focus so that just one object appears in the camera's viewfinder. That's your thesis statement. Okay, so a funnel, going from general to the specific claim or argument that you are making as the writer. Let's look at an outline introduction from a piece of writing that will seem familiar to, should be familiar to my students. The essay was entitled Tech in Schools is a Must for All Educators. And the way that we set up the introduction in the outline followed a funnel structure. So general background on the issue of technology usage in educational settings. Then, narrowing further down, technology usage is a part of the future of education and must be embraced. And then this idea would further hone into a funnel narrowed structure with the thesis statement. The use of technology in schools benefits both the teachers and the students involved, and thus should be part of any school curriculum. So again, a funnel. Now, the actual introduction in the essay that once it was written out used what's called an attention grabber or a hook to engage the reader. Let's read. When asked to think about the average youngster in school nowadays, the general picture most people will likely visualize is that of a 12-year-old student sitting in the hallway at school with an iPad. Add to this picture small groups of friends enjoying their games together during breaks until class starts. When they enter the classroom, they will keep those iPads to hand and will launch the apps necessary for their class. Although this picture might seem ridiculous to some, this is what the future of education actually looks like. Every student will have a smart device, and schools will be, in fact, already are incorporating the use of these devices in the curriculum. As we progress into the 21st century, the use of technology is on the rise. iPads have slowly started to replace textbooks, and the use of smartphones has become standard practice for quick research and online quizzes such as Kahoot. While many have voiced their concerns about this, it is undisputable that the use of technology in schools benefits both the teachers and the students involved, and thus should be part of any school curriculum. Now, essentially what we see here is this is definitely the thesis, right? And the author is in favor of technology. That's clear from the thesis. But actually, this whole bit here is more of an attention grabber or a hook. If we were following a funnel structure in the actual writing, one might start with a sentence like, iPads have slowly started to replace textbooks. And then you start with a general picture of the issue and then narrow it down. But this is another way that you can certainly begin your argumentative essay using an attention-getting introduction. So to capture the reader's attention, and three of the most common attention-getting techniques are telling a dramatic or funny story using an anecdote, using surprising facts or statistics to shock or engage the reader's sense of, like, wow, I did not know that, and offering historical background. So as can be seen in the introduction that we saw in this slide, here we've got, what sort of an attention getter is this? Well, it's kind of a picture, it's telling a bit of a story, what the average school might look like nowadays. And then it further hones into the thesis itself. Okay, so these are ways to start. Well, let's practice this. What we see is that the sentences in each group in the next slides are in the wrong order. So on a separate sheet of paper, write the sentences in the correct order to form an introductory paragraph, and write the thesis statement last. And then see if you can identify the type of introduction, or I believe it's given, whether it's a funnel or an attention-getting style. Okay, so hint, we're aiming for a funnel type of introduction. At this point, I would advise you to give it a try. All right, and our answers. We would start with 5. So a funnel, a general bit of info. The way people greet each other when they meet for the first time varies from culture to culture. In some cultures, people bow, and in others, they shake hands. In English-speaking countries, shaking hands is the custom. How one shakes hands sends an important message about one's character. If done properly, a handshake gives the impression of strength and honesty, and if done improperly, it conveys weakness and dishonesty. A very proper handshake has 4 ingredients: pressure, pumps, eye contact, and verbal message. So we see how it starts off quite general and becomes very specific. Again, a funnel. All right, here, let's give it a try. Pause the video and give it your best shot. All right, welcome back. What we have here are a variety of approaches, but more or less, we could either start with 2. Mr. X went from his native land to a new country to manage a milk pasteurization plant. Or we could start with 7. This story illustrates the need to understand that doing business in a different culture demands an understanding of the culture. And this is a general introduction. So if we begin with 2, it's an attention-getting type of introduction. We are telling a little story or an anecdote. Whereas if we begin with 7, it could be seen more as a funnel. We start off general and then tell the story. So the story would read further. For 8 months, he tried every possible way to convince his workers of the importance of punctuality and of checking every detail of their work. The response was always, yes, yes, we will do our best. But nothing ever changed. Then one day, an impressive new pasteurization unit arrived and was installed. To celebrate the occasion, Mr. X decided to throw a big party at the plant. The employees did most of the planning and draped the new unit with garlands. And now here you could put in 5 or 8. During the party, one of Mr. X's supervisors took him aside and said, "Now we see what a good man you are. From now on, I am sure everyone will really try to do their best for you." Or, the party was a great success and everybody had a good time. And so it was. Neither punctuality nor quality checks were any longer needed. So again, if it's a funnel, we start off general with what the story is about, right? And then to specific. It's about how Mr. X succeeded and the result of the approach. Or if we do an attention type getting structure, we begin with the story, we tell the story, and then we end with what the story shows. Also, let's just look at some of the linking phrases for fluency and readability. So, for example, why does 3 come before 1? Then one day an impressive new unit arrived and was installed. To celebrate the occasion, what's the occasion? Well, we know that the occasion refers to this occurrence, right? So 1 needs to follow 3. Why does 4 follow 1? Mr. X decided to throw a big party at the plant. The employees did most of the planning. Okay, so clearly the sentences indicate that there's a succession of events. The events come in a certain order. And it's important to look at the language here to figure out the order of events. And another one. Okay, and we see there's some variation in the middle here. Take a moment, pause it, give it a try. All right. Let's say we're aiming for a funnel style introduction. Well, we'd start off with 5, general. Scientists keep trying to find ways to predict earthquakes, so far without much success. In an average year, earthquakes kill 10,000 people worldwide and cause millions of dollars worth of property damage. In 1976, an earthquake in Tangshan, China, killed over 250,000 people. Iran suffered more than 80,000 deaths in 2 massive quakes in 1990 and 2003. Currently under study are 4 main methods for predicting when and where the next big one will occur. So we start off general, prediction, earthquakes, and then we end with the specific, that there are 4 main methods of doing this. But there's another approach. Attention-getting style could be, in an average year, earthquakes kill 10,000 people worldwide and cause millions of dollars of damage. So here, this is our hook, right? We use some sort of statistic or fact to pull the reader in. Then we give more detail. Iran, or supporting examples. Iran suffered 2 massive quakes. Tangshan, China as well. Under study are 4 main methods. Scientists keep trying to find ways. So again, you see that there are different ways to go about writing your introduction. It depends what you prefer and what your objective is as an author. Let's try a few just general exercises for practice. Now what we see here is that these are in the incorrect order. So put the sentences in the correct order and remember to put the thesis statement last. Take a moment, give it a try. All right, the most logical order here would be Switzerland is a small country, but it has 4 official languages: German, French, Italian, and Romansh, a descendant of Latin, spoken by a small number of people in the eastern part of the country. According to Swiss law, every child must learn at least 1 second language. As a result, most Swiss people can speak several languages. In recent years, however, English has become increasingly popular in Switzerland because many of the thousands of tourists who visit the country each year do not speak any of the official languages. Almost all of the visitors can speak English, however. The use of English has led to concern among Swiss people about the negative effects that the use of English might have on their country's delicate linguistic balance. So we've started off general with a little bit of background on Switzerland and its linguistic profile. And then it becomes more specific until we end with the thesis. That is, the use of English is concerning, right, in Switzerland and may have negative effects. Let's try a little more general practice. Okay, we have the words antagonistic, concede, counter-argument, introduces, and rebuts. Now, if you don't know the meanings of these words, one thing that could help is reading the sentences and seeing if the context will help you figure out where the words go. Or take a moment and look them up in a dictionary. Give it a go. Okay, the answers. An argument contains both your viewpoint and a rebuttal of the counter-argument. In block organization, the first group of body paragraphs introduces the opposing arguments and rebuts them. The second group of paragraphs presents the writer's argument. That's one approach to writing the essay as a whole. A different approach, in point-by-point organization, the first paragraph introduces the issue, explaining the controversy behind it. Now, really what we're after is what's called point by point. That is, your first paragraph, the introduction, will introduce the issue. 4, in general, an audience, that is your reader, might be supportive, neutral, or antagonistic. So they may disagree with you, your position. And 5, one way to respond to an argument is to concede a point, but disagree nonetheless. When you concede, you say something like, well, I would agree that blah, but I'm afraid I have to disagree that blah. So this is called a concession, or to concede. Interestingly, especially for my Dutch students, the Amish, most of you have heard of, I'm sure, a group of peoples living in Pennsylvania, primarily in the United States, who emigrated from Germany and still speak a kind of antiquated, they speak Amish, which is a kind of a form of German and would be recognizable to y'all Dutch students. Take a moment and figure out which linking words are most appropriate in these sentences about the Amish. Take a moment, give it a go. Okay, our answers. Most Amish live in only a few states. However, some have moved to other states to find cheaper farmland. However, shows that this statement is in opposition to this statement. The Amish help each other in times of need. For example, they will help with chores when someone becomes sick. So here's a general statement and an example to support this. They're opposed to all forms of violence. Therefore, they will not fight in a war. So we have a statement, and then what follows logically, therefore, a next statement. Amish children do not attend high school because of the parents' concern that they not be exposed to worldly influences. So here we have a reason. Why do they not attend high school? Because of parents' concerns about worldly influences. Not much editing is needed. Most of the sentences are clear, but a few, and I missed that in the answer key, sorry. A few need some editing. A large number of errors were found in revision. Little good writing occurs in a noisy environment. Now, I wanted to talk about the difference between amount and number, and also much and many. Much is for things that are untelbar, that is, you cannot count them linguistically. So in this case, editing. You can't say there are many editings. So much editing. Like with amount. Amount refers to things that are uncountable, untelbar in English. For example, let's say love. There's a lot of love and support in the world. We don't count it. But here, with errors, we can put an S on the end. This is telbar. This is countable. So we would use number. So for example, the number of students, the number of arguments made, the number of sources found. Here's another about the Amish. Here we have errors in what are known as collocations, words that go together. Take a moment and make the corrections. All right. The life of the Amish is based on a strong community. It's not based off, it's based on. This is a collocation. Their behavior revolves around shared values. Revolves around. Many tourists pass through Amish communities to observe their way of life. Amish believe in strong family bonds. Most activities take place in the home. Again, these are just words that go together in English. And for those English teachers in training, these are what are known as collocations, and they're quite important in your fluency. All right, I do indeed hope that this introduction to your essay PowerPoint and video has helped to make clear what the introduction to your essay should look like and how you can go about structuring it. Thanks for watching.